there, I'm Akila B, and I'll be showing you how I've made this beautiful 3D printed Happy New Year blossoming plant sculpture. So for this project, I use this cheap 3D pen that I bought on Amazon. It's lightweight and comes with a 240 volt adapter. You can use both ABS and PLA with this pen, but for this project I use only PLA since it's more environmentally friendly and perfect for working indoors. This pen also has a digital display and feeds 1.75mm in diameter of plastic. There were also a few colored sample pieces of filament that came in the box, which you can use for a small project to test out the pen. My first project was a small flower, which unfortunately fell one day and broke. The colored filament I used is from 3D Printing Line. It's really good quality with 18 different colors 10 meters long. What I really like about PLA plastic is that when it melts, it smells like burnt sweet corn a little bit. But even though it's environmentally friendly, I don't recommend inhaling it directly, so I use a mask just to be safe. I also got this large spool of black printer filament which works perfectly with this pen. Having a large quantity of black was really helpful in this project because I wound up using all of the green that I had for this, and I literally had to be scraping together snippets at the end just to finish it. To give it a more textured finish, I used this multi-purpose soldering iron from Daris. It's used for stencil cutting, wood burning, fusing, leather crafting, etc. This is a really hot tool, and even though I was being very cautious while using it, I still got burned. It left a really cool looking scar on my elbow. I'll put a before and after image of this at the end if you're interested. I made this picture to use as a base and reference picture on New Year's Eve. I did this because I wanted to ring in the new year while doing something artsy to inspire me for the new year to come. This clear blue sheet you see was included in the 3D Printing Line box. It helps the filament stay in place while you're working. It also came with a few simple art templates. The flower I mentioned earlier came from this template set. For the lettering, I did 2 layers of black. The first layer was mostly about getting the shape of the letters right, and the second layer was for strength. Put the first layer aside to fully solidify while I worked on the vines and branches. When I was satisfied with the basic shape, I moved the blue plastic out of the way so I could see the picture better. The glass really helps with maneuvering the piece as well as keeping it from sticking to the paper. Also, because I knew I'd be working with my soldering iron, the glass protected both my drawing and the table because this thing is really hot. If you look closely, you can see smoke. After I added the second layer of green, I used my soldering iron or ultimate crafting tool to smooth it out and add texture. I did the same thing with the letters, trying to get them as smooth as I could. I made sure to make the little flowers and leaves ahead of time and line them up so I'd know where each one was to go. Adding the words to the branches took a while, but I kept at it until it felt stable. Then I heavily reinforced the back of the letters and started to add the flowers and leaves. The letters weren't as visible as I'd like, so I decided to add some white acrylic paint to the sides to frame and define the letters better. After, I decided to paint the top of the letters with black acrylic paint because they were too shiny and the paint gave it more of a matte look. I then moved on to making the base. I tried to make one earlier, but then I realized that I wouldn't have had enough green to finish it and that it would be best to make it out of black instead. I used a wooden skewer to help lift the filament to give it more of a 3D effect. Then I did my best to fill it out as much as possible so it could support the tree itself. Then I took my ultimate crafting tool and used it to smooth out the surface. I also used up the bits of black that I'd had stripped off of the words earlier to reinforce it. I also started to add the green, starting with the stringy bits I'd cut off of the vines, because at this point I was running low on green and had to use up all the bits I could find. I used a lighter to melt on a large portion of green, then I smoothed it out. It looked weird in the beginning, but I kept working on it until I started feeling satisfied with how it was coming along. Then I reinforced the bottom by adding in ridges and filling in some minor holes. I noticed that the base had warped and was rocking back and forth after it had cooled down. So to fix this, I welded the base to the glass until I was done to get rid of the rocking. For attaching the plant to the base, I only had a small bit of green left, so the grass had to be finished with the same light green as the leaves. I mixed them as best as I could, but it still looked weird to me. So I switched out the tip of my ultimate crafting tool to the stencil tip and started adding in some grass details. And you know what? The contrasting colors made it look really cool to me. I'm very satisfied with how the grass turned out. I then proceeded to add flower petals all over the base and added texture to all of them so that they wouldn't look like round beads. I also added 2 extra flowers on the grass, and with that, I was done! Lastly, I turned it over and signed the base. All in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I started the design for this on New Year's Eve 1 hour before midnight. Every time I look at this picture, I remember the sound of fireworks welcoming in the Happy New Year! The sculpture I didn't get to finish until the next night because I had so many other things to do. And even though I didn't get to post this video until now, I'm very happy that I made it. So this is the finished sculpture, and it's not bad for my first serious attempt at 3D sculpting. Remember I told you that the iron was hot? Well, this is the burn it gave me. So please be careful when using hot tools. But for me, it was well worth it because I love this sculpture and the burn mark looked pretty cool too. However, the scar has completely vanished after a few months, so yeah. Well, this is the end. So I just wanted to say thank you for watching. Till next time, we will see you on laters.